All right, thanks a lot, Shannon. I appreciate that introduction right there, and I want to thank everybody again for joining in on today's presentation, taking time out of your day to look at our solution and how it can benefit your company. And one thing I will mention before we get started here is you may not be seeing the chat area where you can enter chat. So if you look up there, there's a GoToWebinar arrow. It's an orange and white arrow pointing in and out. If you want to expand that UI, that will get you to that chat pane there for you. So do enter any of those questions through chat, and we'll get those answered at the end of the presentation. Also, quick agenda. What we'll be doing is we'll be taking a look at a PowerPoint. Imagine that, looking at a PowerPoint for just a few minutes. Do not want to PowerPoint you to death. I do want to take a look at the live solution and the functionality it can provide for your company. And then we'll go into the office and take a look at what we can do in our control center and some of the agility, the functionality, the capabilities that we have there. And then finish off with the PowerPoint, and then open it up for Q&A. So let's go ahead and get started and start walking through the process here and thinking about some of the concepts around an integrated solution. We put in 3 reasons for an accounting integration, how it can accelerate your performance, but you know there's multitudes, lots more than that, than just 3, of course. But looking at an integrated solution that works with your ERP or accounting system, first of all, let's talk about the individuals in the field. Well, if we have a solution that can send out to those devices where they're tracking their time in the field, their cost code structure, their phase structure, the jobs that are pertinent, specific to them, how easy does it make it for them to enter accurate time based upon their day and breaking it out based upon those activities they've done during the day, those tasks that they've done during the day. Some solutions call them tasks, some call them phase codes, some call them cost codes, but those activities they break out for that particular job. And then as far as streamlining the process and looking at the efficiency we gain from that back in the office, well, typically the day-to-day activity, if we're doing a paper or some other type of methodology, is doing a lot of corrections based upon job or cost code or time, even for that matter, and looking at the efficiency that we're going to get when we get those accurate records back in the office. One other thing I'll mention is a seamless integration with your accounting system. You're not keeping up with 2 databases, you're only keeping up with 1. So we know as we go from one database to the next, if we're trying to keep up and manage 2 or 3 or 4, we can have some errors that happen during that process as well. And then back to the field, visibility. We want to be able to see the information real time, and we'll take a look at some of those functionalities as we get on to the device. And there's so much more that we can offer above and beyond just 3 reasons, but we'll take a look at the concepts as we go through. So from our genesis, from the initial start of our solution 12, 13 years ago, by the way, 2 general contractors own our business. We actually have 4 individuals, but 2 of them are general contractors or work. They were looking at the same thing, going, how can we get time? How can we get data from the field more efficiently, more effectively? So what they did is they had a couple friends that could program in SQL and started the business. By the way, we are a SQL platform, and a lot of companies are trying to get there, a lot of solutions out there trying to get there. We're already there. And the main mantra was keep it simple. Sometimes the individuals in the field, technology can sometimes be a challenge, right? So what we want to do is make it as easy as possible for those individuals to enter their time, to enter that data from the field, but very powerful in the office. And we'll look at those concepts when we jump in. And I kind of mentioned a couple things here as far as time, but we're not just all about time. We're managing labor. What about those assets? What about equipment? And when you think about assets, we call it assets in our solution because we can cover all of the assets, not just big equipment, which most companies do think about, but let's think about the skill saws and the sawzalls and those types of things as well. And then as far as forms, think about the forms that you're completing in the field. It could be your toolbox safety chat, it could be an injury report, it could be reimbursement maybe, or it could be punch lists. Think about those things as we go through the process, because we want to make you a complete paperless workflow from field to office, tracking productivity and other things. So we're not just about time, we also have so much more functionality that we can do with our solution. And of course, creating that efficiency in the process. Here's a little slide. Let's talk about integration. That's what we're looking at as far as what can that do for our business. Well, we integrate seamlessly with over 100 different solutions. So it's one of those things. We didn't have enough space to put all of the logos for all the solutions that we work with. So if you don't see the ERP or the solution that you have working within your business, don't fret. We definitely probably integrate with it. One thing I will point out as well, where do we generate payroll from? Do we do it out of our ERP accounting system, or do we use ADP, or do we use Paychecks? They're in there as well. So we integrate with just about anybody. So just wanted to show that slide to kind of give you an idea. Hey, we are over 100 and some solutions at this point we seamlessly integrate with. Now that is a good segue into, let's talk about data flow, workflow, and what that looks like. So out of the gate, what we'll do is we'll work with you in the discovery process and bring into our solution automatically from your accounting ERP, I even put HR in there, is the information, the details into our control center. So once we set up that configuration, it's automated after that. So think about new jobs, new employees, budget information, all flowing into our control center. So in our control center, what we do is give you the power to refine that information when it goes out to those devices in the field. So let's say that those particular individuals will only see the information pertinent to them, let's say the job list, or let's say a foreman, he only wants to see a specific list of employees, not the 300-400 employees that are working with in our company, right? So we give you the capability to refine that information specific to that individual in the field. Now, you're seeing some devices over there, right? We are agnostic to just about any device that you look at, any Androids, iOS, iPad, iPhone, look at also PCs. So when we look at that, I can almost guarantee everyone that's on the phone today has a device that we're going to work with. Almost. If you still have that old flip phone, we're not going to work with that one. So you are seeing one thing on there, though, that may be of an interest to you, is you do see the BlackBerry. And we just dropped that off support. It is a fading technology, but if that comes back around, we'll definitely support that. Now we are a native app to those devices in the field, which gives us a lot of power. So we can be in the middle of, well, we can be at Timbuktu, right? And we know we don't have cell coverage there or internet coverage there. Well, I don't think we do anyway. And we can still work disconnected. That user experience is still going to be the same and very simple. And once they get connected, we'll be able to sync that information, that data, back to the office. Once again, we want to keep it simple. We want to keep it easy, but very powerful. So once we collect that information, send it back to the control center. By the way, 2 approvals in the field. So if you require a signature from your employee, from your foreman, your supervisor, we got it. You can capture that. And then send it back to the office where we have 2 more approvals right there for reviewing that information, editing that information, and send it into your ERP or accounting system. And as I mentioned, ADP or Paychecks, if you're using them, definitely can work with those as well. So that gives you a more efficient, effective, accurate way of collecting time and data from the field. But back to our 3 reasons, fully integrated, right? So give you that opportunity right there. How important is visibility in the field? How important is it being proactive rather than reactive to situations that come up? Don't want to look in that rearview mirror and see back, oh gosh, I wish we would have done something 2 weeks ago about that. Well, what we want to do is give you the opportunity to be as proactive as possible for these particular items right here. Overtime. Somebody's reaching a threshold of overtime. Who do we want to alert, or do we want to alert anybody, or do we just want to know about it? Automatically emailing notifications to individuals in your organization so they can see that information. Weather, is that going to impact the job? By the way, we automatically track all the weather for all your jobs, so you don't have to write it down in the field. It basically is being done by our system, automatically stored. Let's say we need to pull that up from 2005. What was going on December 12th? Well, we pull that up very easily. So we're automatically tracking that, but we're alerting you to the fact that, hey, weather may impact the job today. The wind may be blowing. We're not going to be able to get that lift in the air today. We want to know about that stuff. So rather than having to look it up, we're going to let you know. Budgets, where are we as far as the threshold of those budgets? Who needs to know about it? Maybe a project manager. Oh, well, let's take action on that right now. Real-time visibility. And we'll talk about some other things, of course, job photos, field notes. We capture all of that information. Here's something that we won't really explore during the demonstration on the device, but is something of interest and has been very powerful for a lot of companies that work with our solution, is we will set up a Geo Fence around the job. A perimeter around the job could be a quarter mile. You determine what that's going to be. And then what it's going to do is it's going to compare that to every punch that an employee will do during the day. And it will let you know if they're outside of that Geo Fence. Now, it's an option. It's one of those things you can take advantage of if you want to. I will tell you about some companies. One company specifically started using our solution and started finding that some individuals were punching in and out at some establishments around the area and alerting that particular boss or that foreman of that. After some interesting conversations, productivity increased significantly from 4.5 to 6 hours per day. So it's one of those options you can take advantage of if you want. Comes with the system. Turn it on, turn it off. But it is very powerful. So last but not least, and I promised I wouldn't PowerPoint you to death, and I meant it. So looking at this, also looking back to one of the slides that we showed previous to this is, let's get you to a point, or at least give you the opportunity to be at a point where we are totally paperless from field to office, right? So this is actually a true case in point here. A company that we work with came to us with this particular form right here. This is what they were completing in the field. And sometimes when you get those forms in, and well, first of all, you got to go file them, but second of all, can we read them? It's chicken scratch. I can't read my writing 10 minutes after I put it down. So when I look at this, what we're going to do is transform this type of form here to this nice looking form over here. By the way, we do it on our device. Click a button. It's automatically filed back in the office under the job, under the employee, under the task and asset. So multiple ways to find it as well. So we'll take a look at some concepts as we get on the device and show you the solution live. So without further ado, there you go. So I'm going to go ahead and jump out and go ahead and jump on my device here. What's nice about it is we do have a reflector solution now that gives me the opportunity to show my iPad right on the computer screen right here. So in a second, you're going to go ahead and see my iPad right there. A couple things of note is, as I mentioned, we are a native app to the device, right? So you go out to the App Store, you can see our app out there. It's free to download. Won't be a database behind it, but you will be able to download the app and have it available on your desktop, like I've done. I've singled it out, though. It's not among all of the solitaire and every other thing that I play around with on this device right here, but also it allows us to work disconnected. So from cell or internet, I can still go in, tap the button, and now I'm presented with a pin pad. That pin pad gives me the opportunity to authenticate employees on who they are, right? So what you'll do is you'll go ahead and assign a PIN number to every employee. And that can be anywhere from 4 to 12 digits long. God forbid if you use 12, but you can. And in the demonstration, it gives me the opportunity to show my multiple personalities. I'm going to clock in and out as a few people here and show you the functionality and the privileges and the staged approach that we can take to our solution. Okay? So let me go ahead and start the day for Dan. And I kept the numbers easy. Open it up. Dan's going to be presented with an in and out functionality. Dan doesn't have to choose job, doesn't have to choose task, doesn't have to choose anything. Dan just has the opportunity to go ahead and clock in by simply pushing the in button and accepting it. Now, Dan does have some capabilities to put in some notes and some other information up here just by selecting those icons if we want. But at this point, we want it very simple, very easy. Going back to our mantra, back to our adage. And by the way, one of our sayings at our company is if you can take $20 out of an ATM, you can use our solution. So and most people know how to take $20 out of an ATM. It's whether we have the $20 to take out of the ATM, right? So when we look at this, we've got the capability to punch in that number, select that, and if Dan was outside of the Geo Fence, if he chose to use that, somebody would have been alerted. So let's go to the next step. Our next individual is Larry. And as you can see, Larry's got some more functionality. We've given him some more privileges. He's got Forms Express. We'll talk about more of that in the next individual that we're going to be working with. And also down at the bottom there, he's got field notes he can complete. But he's got other capabilities as well, and we'll talk about those. So I'm going to go ahead and clock in for Larry. Larry has the capability to move from job to job to job, task to task to task during that day. So if you think about how you're breaking out those activities within that job, automatically pulling those out to the device so that he very accurately can enter that information. Okay, let's say that Larry's going to look at those jobs. There's a list of jobs specific to Larry. I could even manage it even further down than that. Key thing about this, each one of these particular areas where you're going to see job and task, think about how you would present that to your individuals. Do you want number and job? Do you want just number? Do you want just job name? It's up to you. A lot of flexibility on how we present this information to those individuals. By the way, if this was 1,000 jobs out here, then we can go ahead and use our quick search tool. There we go, First Avenue. I'm going to select that. Next. This is the task. These are the cost codes or the phase codes that you're going to present to Larry. Once again, what's your numbering? Do you want that out there, or do you just want the name of the cost code, the phase code, that information? So however you want to do that, we're very flexible, agile on how you want to do that. So let's say that our friend Larry is going to be pouring some concrete, and I'm going to say select. I'll make one more point here. For the larger companies out there, when I look at maybe we're self-performing for multiple divisions, right? So let's see, concrete 3000, division 3. We look at that and we break that out. Maybe Larry only wants to see those cost codes specific to what he does for our organization. So only show those cost codes specific to what he does. So only concrete, right? So we can do that as well. So manage this list specific to that information that he needs to see, and let's make it easy. Let's make it simple. So let's go ahead and say, okay, select. By the way, I was entering one task before this, and you can also capture the units in place. And we have a variety of reports that we can do breaking on those productivity rates for these individuals as well. So I'll go ahead and enter in. We poured 12 yards of concrete that first time. Oh, by the way, we needed to use some equipment for that. This list can be specific to Larry, or it can give him the whole list as I've done here. But search engine for that concrete mixer right there. By the way, we capture time for the equipment as well. So now we're going to have the same amount of time for Larry as he has for this piece of equipment. So a lot of functionality, a lot of capabilities that we have right there. Now Larry's clocked in. He can see a kind of a review of what he's done, right? And then I can say accept, or I say cancel and make a change, and we're good to go. Say accept, though, and we're up and running. So if you think about that, if I wasn't talking, and we've got this deployed in the field very quickly and efficiently entering that time. Now, I'm going to go ahead and show you one other thing. I'm going to clock Larry out. He's been working for a little bit. Let's say he's been working most of the day. And now we're going to clock him out. I'm going to be prompted. By the way, during the day, you only have to hit in during the day. You only clock out at the end of the day. And by the way, if I move from task to task to task, job to job, if I go to hit the in button again, it's going to prompt me with that information. Automatically stops time and buckets time for that first task and that piece of equipment, and then starts the time for the next one. Make it easy for these individuals. Hit in during the day, and then at the end of the day, let's hit out. Let's enter that that particular unit, and then here's another thing, and it's very powerful. How do we minimize or mitigate the risks to your company? Did you get hurt on the job today? No, I didn't. Did you take all your required breaks? Yes, I did. How far did you drive? I put a lot of examples up here to give you kind of an idea of what you can do. All of this is stored back in the office, so if we need to go back and grab it, we most definitely can. Very easy to do. Yes, and I did not observe any safety incidents today back in the office. So, very powerful. So when we look at this next step here is, well, not just individuals. We want to have the capability to clock in and out multiple individuals. So I'm going to go to Tim. Tim is a foreman or superintendent, and he's going to have the opportunity to do a lot more things than those individuals did there, right? So I apologize for that email coming up there. Should turn that off. So when we look at this, we're going to clock in and out. So now we have multiple employees that Tim can see. And by the way, I'm sure it's a question that's coming up in your mind. Does Tim need to know the PIN numbers for all those employees? No, he doesn't. All he needs to know is his own, because he has the privilege to enter time in for multiple individuals. But think about this. I could go ahead and set it up so Tim is only seeing a specific list. So in this instance, I'm going to go ahead and say get rid of Dale and add a couple individuals. By the way, we can go ahead and give you subgroups where maybe this is our field group. This is the group that Tim always works with. So all I have to do is select one button for them, and all of them are involved with that time. So very easy to do. So hit the in button at the top left. Say, okay, we are going to go to a different location. There's my job list, right? And let's go to the St. Thomas Hospital, just to give you a different look and feel for what those cost codes can look like. Notice the numbers aren't there this time, right? I don't have the numbers in there. And let's say we're going to be doing some wall framing. Say select, and we're done. Capture that time. Now as we go through the day, we can go ahead and change the crew to a different task, or what we can do is allocate that at the end of the day as well. So we'll look at a couple things, a couple concepts with the solution here. Not going to dive into every one of these today, but at least a couple of them. So let's jump in. As we go into Location Manager, set the location info. Hey, you want that address to those individuals. Let's say I'm a service guy moving from job to job to job, and I don't know the location. We actually have a URL where if we punch a button, it will actually take us, give us the driving directions to that. Also, when you look at task budget, I think this is part of the, when you look at it, I want the real-time information out there for my guys in the field so they can be very proactive, right? So let's look at a task budget, and then let's break it down. I want to see all the jobs that are applicable to me, right? Once again, remember, you can minimize this list specific to this particular individual. I'm going to see the budget versus the actual breakout. We do hours. We're not doing dollars. We're doing hours, and we're doing units. By the way, when you're seeing that red stuff over here, we would have been alerted to this way before we would have gotten to that point, right? These are the phase codes or the tasks for that job, just so you're seeing that breakout and want to know what these are. So if for the concrete individual, repouring concrete and so on and so forth, or forming, whatever it may be. In this instance, it's domestic water inside. So budgets automatically being pulled from your accounting system. Here's our actuals, comparing the two together, over and under, it's % complete. Hit the button up here. We want to see the units. I can do it. Or I want to see the total summary. Hit that button at the top again and see the summary. Very powerful information for us to be real time on top of those particular items right there. Okay? Another thing that we'll kind of explore, and then we'll jump out of this and get to another point here, is a picture's worth 1,000 words, right? So when you look at this, let's take some photos at the job as well. By the way, my job is in the office here, right there, and you can see those blinds. There's some dust on there, I guarantee you. So when we look at this, now what we can do is go ahead and apply any notes to that as well. And for those individuals that are not that dexterous, being able to type in these notes, we're going to take advantage of technology and dictate into the device itself. Right, what I'm saying? So it's going to go ahead. It even started. It's going to go ahead. Look at that. So when we look at that, now we've got the capability to go ahead and dictate, and rather than trying to type all of those words in. Very easy, very quick to do, and done. Gosh knows I can't type very fast on those. Assigned assets to the job. We can go ahead and apply time for those very quickly as well. So chat about it here, employee manager. Let's know the information about our employee, emergency information. Are they union? What's their class? That type of information. Did they qualify for per diem today? Records manager, allocate time during the day. Or maybe we need to approve those records, right? Let's capture a signature for those employees in the field, send it back to the office, and by the way, apply it to their payroll stub or their timesheet there, right? Field notes, pretty self-explanatory, right? We're going to be able to go ahead and enter in those field notes. That could be typing or it could be audio. And go ahead and just talk into the device again. So one other thing I'll jump into on the device, and then we'll jump out off the device and back into the office, is Forms Express. One of those things where getting you to a process where you are totally paperless, right? So think about the forms we're filling out in the field today. Change order, daily report, could be a service ticket, could be an injury report. Matter of fact, it could even be a reimbursement form, right? Go to Home Depot, go to Lowe's, the individual buys something. Let's describe it, take a snapshot of the receipt, send it back to payroll, right from the device. Punch lists, on and on and on. So let's do one thing. Let's jump into one of these and really show the concepts of what it can do. So as we jump in here, it's going to give the entry point for that individual in the field. And select, and all I really want to do is select the day here. And the reason why I put that in there, we really don't need to select the date, the time, or whatever it may be. I just want to show you we can have static drop-down lists that we pick and choose from. So we'll go ahead and say Thursday, say done. So if you're a general contractor or you're working out on the job and you want to have a list of subs that are static for that particular job, just pick and choose from them, enter the time for those particular subs. All sorts of different things we can do. Date, safety problems, I can say yes. Unfortunately, I'll put in notes. I'm the project manager on the job. We can even have tables inside of these as well where we're capturing static information from static lists. Say we've got the screw gun and the quantity for that. Say okay. So as we go through the process of entering this information very quickly, very easily, now it's going to give us the opportunity to print out this report. Work performed, number of workers, all of that good stuff. Now maybe you want to capture a photo and embed it in the the report here, I can do that from my album. I'll just go up here and capture that particular project right there that we finished. Looks like Starbucks, right? Say OK. Maybe you need to capture some signatures from your customer, right? Boy, that's a bad signature right there, but we've got it. So forms, or your foreman signature as well. We can actually capture videos and embed them in a form also. So if I want to go around the whole job site, or maybe you're doing a vehicle inspection report, right? You want to go around that whole vehicle, notice any dents or anything that may have happened during the day. You can do it. So with that, I'm going to save it. And let's take it one step further. From the device, I want to be able to see what that output is going to be. There's that form right there. By the way, employee, Tim filled it out. The task was wall framing. Here's the job. Here's the asset if we had one. It's all automatically going to be filed for you under those associations. Very easy. And by the way, there's that picture I took. Oh, and this is let's say this is an injury report. I'll just go ahead, email this from here, and get it back to the office as quickly as possible. Done. Very powerful, very easy to work with. And now we're getting to a point where we're streamlining the process and getting away from all that paper-heavy workflow that we may be doing. Lots of things we can do here, but just for keeping the timeline on our presentation, we're going to jump out of here, and we're going to go not to the PowerPoint. Didn't want to scare you there. We're not going to the PowerPoint. We're going to go back into the office and take a look at a few things here. So think of this. If I was to draw a picture for you, you have all of those devices out there. They have PCs, Androids, iOS, whatever they may be. They're going to feed all of that information back to the office and give us those details where we have our control center. When I come into the control center, I can have graphs and information exposed to me to see budgets, maybe weather, maybe devices that have synced up for the day, and have that information available to us. Everybody likes graphs. We want to give you the opportunity to work with those graphs as well. So when you jump back into the office, you can see that information right there. Now, the other thing is we want to see the time records come into the office also. So when I'm looking at this, by the way, we set up security to a level where you're going to see only the information specific to you, right? So I come in, I'm only going to see my employees. I'm only going to see the information that I need to see. By the way, we can filter information better than Bill Gates ever thought about doing. Matter of fact, he's very jealous of our filtering capabilities within our solution. Filter by employee, by date, by filters here as well. I can just see my crew. Or if I want to see information specific to a job and a crew, these particular jobs here, I can see that information also. So very powerful as far as our solution is concerned, and you can see that information or expose additional records that we have hidden at this point. Make it very specific to each individual that comes into the solution. Yeah, we can edit these records too, but as we get more streamlined with the process, you're not going to need to. The other thing is we can look at the sign-offs and the approval process, look at those signatures if we want, facial confirmation. We take a snapshot of pictures as they punch of the individual as they clock in and clock out. Just another way of authenticating they're who they say they are. It's kind of hard to say that, but that's what I mean. So a lot of capability in here that we can look at. Now, when we look at the employee manager, what determines the privileges those individuals are going to have in the field? All happens right here. Good place to stop, though, and talk about integration. When we're pulling in the employees and the information into our system, you determine what that information is going to be. Once a new employee is set up in your ERP or your accounting system, we'll automatically pull it into our system. So looking at that, we can, of course, have their mugshot right there. And then let's determine that user experience that they're going to have in the field. So very easily, we can say, do we want them to select the cost of the tasks, the phase codes in the field. Well, Larry, I'm going to cut you off. No longer can you select the tab. And plus, we need facial confirmation every time you punch in. Or we have custom lists that we can make specific to your company as well. Lots of flexibility, functionality that we can do here. So as we dive into it specifically with your customer, with your needs, we can look at those workflows. Other thing that we look at here is we're not trying to be an HR solution, but we can track write-ups, compliancy information. Oh, and by the way, or BTW, as my daughter would say, is we can go ahead and track user-defined information in here as well. So very powerful, very functional, and specifically tailored to your needs. So let's take a look at another thing here. Here's all of those locations or job sites that we have going right there. So we can see all of the basic info. Once again, reiterating the integration with accounting. Let's pull that information in here so you're not having to manage two databases. Let's just manage one. Make it easy. So we've got that information. We've got the labor and budget information right here. Oh, and by the way, those forms that we're filling out in the field are automatically going to be sent and stored and filed under those multiple areas that we talked about. So there's a roof and labor report. There's the day, the week, the information. And this one didn't really put a picture in, but you can see the information that we're tracking, right? So looks like on this day, safety equipment, we didn't wear our hard hats, or that's not good stuff right there. So looking at that, and by the way, being a SQL solution, we can go ahead and take this information and where do you want to populate it? Do you want to take it to another application, another solution? We can do that. And if anybody out there is wearing the IT hat, we install with SQL Express. So just so you know that. All righty, we're going to go ahead and jump to one more. We've got the photos for the day. We can go ahead and see these photos. Matter of fact, there's our fleet of trucks in the snow right there. Right there in the snow. So we got almost a foot of snow right there. Show those pictures about the job and what you want to expose there and have stored forever. One last thing, and then we'll jump off and get back into the PowerPoint. And as you can see, I'm just touching on just some of the information right here. So think about those questions you want to prompt individuals with. Did you get hurt on the job today? Did you take your required breaks? How much gas did you pump? Do you want to come to the Christmas party? It really can be anything that you want it to be. And just by selecting this, that'll be exposed on their device next time they sync up. That'll be there for them to complete that information. So looking at that, a lot of power, a lot of functionality, and we're just scratching the surface with the system. So with that, I'll go ahead and jump back to the PowerPoint and look at just a couple more concepts of discussion here. Reporting. You know, of course, we're inputting it all. Now we want to be able to get the output, the reporting. By the way, all of our reports can be set to automatically go out at your timed intervals, right? So I could send them at the end of the day, at the beginning of the day. It's really kind of up to you on when you want these to go out the door. By the way, we are a real-time solution, capturing real-time activities for those particular individuals. So you'll look right here, 3103. So we get away from that capability of rounding time. And that's some of the things that we find with a lot of the companies we work with, that some of the time the employees were rounding time, sometimes 15 minutes a day, sometimes a half an hour a day. And I want you to think about when you're looking at that, what does that cost your company as far as salary, as far as burden? You know, when you look at the calculations of workers' comp, for instance, what does that look like? What's that costing the company? We can save you thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars just with that aspect alone. So in this instance, we're 3103. We can round to the nearest minute if you want, the nearest 5 minutes. It's up to you. Here's the employee time card. We've got the signature at the bottom there, and per diem, did they qualify or not for that? A lot of capability, a lot of information there. And if I'm a project manager or if I'm a superintendent foreman, here's a report I definitely want to see. How much time did we spend on that time card yesterday, or all of my jobs yesterday? Review it, make changes to it. Definitely can do that as well. Payroll detail. The payroll individuals want to see this as a whole. We can slice and dice information any way that you want to. So looking at this, we'll be able to expose that information and automatically send that to the individuals that need to receive it. Budget, we talked about that. We've got a report for that as well. Location daily report, we want to see all of those employee hours. We're compiling this into one report for you. There's that weather. There's those field notes. Oh, and by the way, we took some pictures out there of John finishing up on that electrical panel, and we can see all of that information. This is what he started with out there, too, by the way. That looks kind of like a jumbled mess. So we can go ahead and snapshot those pictures as a daily record and embed them in these photos. So good stuff right there. Location weather, kind of talked about that. Automatically storing it for you. I can go back to whatever time and run that report and say, yes, this is the reason why we didn't pour concrete that day, right? So it was pouring rain. Of course, I think every 10 minutes is a little bit overkill, but we can do it. It's up to you. And then authentication. It's huge for a lot of companies. Is the PIN number gives you the capability to authenticate who that employee is. By the way, on those devices, we can set up security so that only specific individuals can go ahead and enter their time on those devices. So biometrics, if we want that fingerprint, we can do that. Facial recognition, I kind of talked about that at this point as well. So multiple levels of authentication. One thing that I don't have up here is RFID. If you want a card that you just swipe or a fob that you just swipe, we can do that as well. So that really kind of comes to the conclusion of what I wanted to cover. And like I mentioned, we just, kind of scratching the surface right here as far as the solution is concerned. And normally I would have a Q&A slide that said Q&A right there, but I didn't today. So what we're going to do is Shannon has been monitoring the chat for us. And what she'll do is throw a few questions at me if there are any, and we'll go ahead and get those answered. So Shannon, are you available?
Hi, Darren. Yes, thanks. We did have some questions come in. And our first question, just wanted to understand will your solution automatically pull new data from our accounting system like job, employee, etc.?
Yes, and I'm glad you asked that, because when you look at it, it is that seamless integration that we're looking to have. So and really, regardless of what ERP or accounting system that you're working with, we can configure it to your specifications on the information that you want to pull into our system. And when those new individuals, new employees, new jobs are entered into that system, we'll automatically pull that into our control center. So once again, you're not having to keep up with two databases, just one.
Okay.
Great question.
Along similar lines like that, there was a slide that came up that had a lot of different systems, and it says that you do over 100. I use Sage. Do you integrate with Sage?
Most definitely, and most all of the Sage accounting systems, Sage 300, Sage 100, ACPAC, and on. So most definitely, any of those Sage solutions you may be working with, we definitely integrate with.
Okay, and please, we're still taking questions. If you guys have any other questions, if you go to the question module on GoToWebinar, feel free to go ahead and type anything in. We have one more coming in. It says, we need to capture approvals for employees with a signature or by signature. Is that something you can do with AboutTime?
Yes, most definitely. What you can do is with those processes, those workflows where we need to get that employee signature, we most definitely can, and you can capture that right from the device. But let's expand it a little bit beyond that. And I'm glad that question came up. Is let's say that we have to capture a signature from a customer, right? So at the end of the day, here's what we did on the site, here's the hours that we did. Let's go ahead and capture that customer signature, actually take it even beyond that, really, and have that stored with the record. Take a snapshot of that customer as well. We can do that very, very easily. And by the way, as you might have seen, that signature for the employee, if we're requiring that, will be attached to their time card. And if the superintendent, the manager, the foreman, they put their signature in there, that'll be applied to that time card as well. Great question. Good stuff.
Okay, well, Darren, you must have done a very thorough job. We've answered all of the questions on, and oh, actually, there was another question that just popped in. Joe was asking, can you get the employee's signature without using Forms Express?
Yes, most definitely. Yep.
Okay.
Most definitely.
All right, maybe I should pause. Oh, go ahead.
And just so you know, what we can do is we can go ahead right from the device, is be able to review that time for the day and be able to go ahead and capture that signature. You'll just be able to sign right on that device. So great question. Excellent.
Okay. We'll give everybody one more opportunity to ask any questions. Just wait for a couple seconds. And it looks like we've addressed all of the questions. There's a couple that have come in that we'll answer offline that are more specific to individuals. But we will definitely answer all of your questions and follow up with you either by email or phone call if you've submitted a question. And I hope that you feel as though you've gotten at least 3 reasons why your accounting integration is going to accelerate your organization's performance and improve efficiencies all across your organization. Without any further ado, thank you so much for your time, and thank you, Darren, for such a great presentation.
Yeah, thanks everybody for joining in today, and have a great day, have a good week, and hope to be speaking with you soon.